Okay, so we are continuing our food resources notes. We're talking about salmon farming now. As we've said in the past, you saw this with our other videos and discussion. The salmon just have a normal migration pattern. They get diversity when they're just left alone. With these farms, they're more like using clones. There's no diversity. They don't know how to exist normally because they're eating like food pellets. So it's not actually as quality as a fresh wild caught salmon. Alright, so now what they're getting antibiotics, they're getting fish food, they're being caged, and you have to have labor. They're being raised in large quantities. Large the number of people are there working, but it ends up with you cause algae growths, which are bad. If you've seen anything about algae blooms here lately, and water pollution, and yeah, we have salmon, but it also creates water pollution. Lost my train of thought on that, but as we've said, you get one thing, but it also creates others. And with the antibiotics and other stuff that's in the fish food, that's stuff that then gets into us because we've eaten the fish. And depending on what it is, that's why there's such a push for like no growth hormones, with the meat and dairy products, because that's part of what's affecting us. It messes with our natural cycles and the way we're meant to be. And it does with any other animal. So we have rice fish farming in Thailand. It's the same kind of thing. They're creating these little like tariffs to create these patties, and so they're changing landscapes, and they have to have labor and they have to have seed. But with this, they have the fish and the rice being grown together in the same self-sustaining ecosystem. So, like, I even have plants in my fish tanks. So the fish and their waste creates nutrients into the water, which helps the plant grow. The plant releases oxygen into the water that helps sustain the fish. It creates also areas for them to hide and have protection. And it's a really nice, it's a symbiotic relationship is what we call that, where one lives off of the other and vice versa. And it's all completely self-sustaining, just from nature. And it reduces waste and maintains your biodiversity, and it allows to gain rice and fish, which can be sold to create income. Alright, so the slash and burn, like I said, the farmers will slash or cut down a forest and burn in the area in order to create a field for farming. We've talked about it when we were talking about the wildfires earlier this year. It creates a layer of ash, which then creates very nutrient-rich soil. You can till it all in. And then there's shifting cultivation, where farmers utilize soil and forests for harvesting wood and crops until the soil loses fertility. Then they move to a new area. Then eventually that spot could rebuild itself. And that's like what I was talking about with rotating the crops in your regular home farm, because you don't need as much fertilizer that way. It sustains itself naturally. So things that we do to try to improve farming is first with GMOs. That's genetically modified organisms. So they change the makeup of the living thing to make them look and feel and taste differently. So if you have something that's real susceptible to some disease, and they find a version of it that doesn't have that issue for that disease, they can try to take that genetic information and put it into the other one. So they create this like hybrid. It grows bigger and taller like the one that you're growing, but now is not susceptible to that disease. I don't believe we're going to watch GMO OMG today, but I can provide you the link if you choose to watch it on your own time. We're going to be watching Food Inc., and then we're going to try next week the week after. Next week will be Food Inc., and then the week after we will try a new one to check out, because it's very recent video, and I haven't even had a chance to see it yet, so we're going to have class during office hours so we can watch it together. They will talk about all this kind of stuff too. So other ways that we try to improve the farming is through the use of pesticides. It's used to kill pest organisms like beetles and bugs that eat the plants. But the problem is that same chemical that's killing the pest is killing the bees. We need the bees. They are what pollinate things for us. Unless you want to walk around with like a Q-tip pollinating everything all by yourself, we need the bees. Because only so much happens with the wind. We also have herbicides that are used to kill weeds. And again, just if it's going to kill one plant, it can kill others. And your fertilizer is used to grow larger crops. But with all of that, rain washes it away. It gets into your water system, and it can harm any other organism that comes into contact with it. The irrigation obviously is used to bring more water, but then it changes the whole system and can actually create more damage than just leaving it alone. And of course, antibiotics and growth hormones are being used to grow larger and healthier animals, but again, it's in their systems, and then we eat them, and now it's in our systems. And we're seeing that. That's why you're seeing kids that are reaching puberty at much earlier ages than they have in the past, and we're all growing so tall. It's because of that kind of stuff being in our systems. Alright, so different kinds of food systems. This MEDC is cost of staple food items relatively cheap. Purchases based on taste and preference. Produce seasonality has almost disappeared due to globalization. So where you should have only gotten, tomatoes at a certain time, we can still get them in the supermarket all year. And we have a larger variety in our supermarkets. But like your LEDC production systems, it's staple food items are not always affordable. Prices fluctuate. Purchases are based on nutritional need and affordability. Political and economic agendas can affect food production, so it's cash cropping, like what's going to get them the most money. So even if they're not used as a cash crop, food production is still impacted since arable land is being occupied all the same. So how can we be more sustainable? Things they suggest that you can do, like sustainable organic agriculture. It says eat less meat, no meat, or organically certified meat. Or, we are fortunate to be in an area where we have access to farm fresh meat from a local small farmer who, you could go buy half a cow off of. Something like that where you're keeping your money local. That's a big thing, is buy fresh and buy local. Whenever you can, go to somebody's farm stand and buy the produce. Get your meat from somebody local. And it'll likely have been grass-fed as best as possible, minimizing how much grain it's being fed. Like buying pellets of food and giving it to them, less of that. Use organic farming to grow some of your own food, or just buy certified organic. And again, eat fresh, eat local. Support your local places, and just keep growing that. You can compost your food waste to make a really nice soil that you can use instead of going to buy any fertilizer stuff. You can try to cut your food waste, make sure you're using everything entirely. Those are ways that we can make a difference. So food production in our country has a direct impact on lifestyle and incomes of others around the world. So this is a 9-minute video. What I'm going to do is provide the link. I'm going to ask you to stop and watch it. Alright, so that is actually the tail end of those notes. Make sure you're watching that video, and next week we will watch Food Inc. and continue food resources from there.